Hello, and welcome to another episode of Purlfect Pairings. My name is Gayanne. I am a knitting tech editor, an avid knitter from Melbourne, Australia, and this is where I share my projects as well as interviews with people who are involved in the knitting industry, or wool industry rather, in Australia. Today, I have a quick episode where I'm going to share some of my projects with you. I have two finished objects, both of which are sweaters, and a half-finished object that I want to share with you today. And then one acquisition that I think, well, it's probably the reason why I shouldn't be unsupervised on Instagram. We'll leave it at that. Anyway, before I go any further, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I am recording, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. Finished objects, both of which are sweaters, and I am definitely having an alpaca Surrey silk moment. All right, here's the first one. You've seen this one before. Whoops. Sorry about that. Just a bit of swift avalanche there. Never mind that. Now, the first sweater is my Cloudwatching Sweater. And isn't it fantastic? Look at these details. The brioche sleeves. Yes, I don't like weaving in my ends, so that one is still, probably needs a little bit of work, maybe just a snip. But the really beautiful thing about this sweater is how the hem is knit. And it is a paid for pattern, so I don't want to give too much away. But the construction of this was a bit fiddly, but the outcome, I mean, it just looks so almost machine knit. And this texture, so I haven't even told you who the pattern is by. It's the Cloudwatching Sweater by SosuKnits, Suzanne Summers. And it's got this beautiful texture. It has brioche, both on the sides and through the raglan increases. And then I think this is technically referred to as reverse stockinette and the sleeves because they're knit in the round. Anyway, the yarn is Spinning Yarn Weaving Tales Jasper Yak in the color Natural, and I held that with a strand of alpaca silk blend from Owl of Athena in the colorway Parnassus Major, and it's made an absolutely beautiful effect. This sweater has been on high rotation since I finished it. And I absolutely love it. The pattern was really easy to follow, so all of you people who have perhaps just found a love for brioche as a result of the latest MCAL shawl, sorry about the spoiler there. Anyway, this is a great garment to try out some brioche because it's not a lot of brioche, but it's there and it's beautiful. I can't say enough about this sweater. Even the details with the I-cord neckline, it's love it, love it, love it. Highly recommend it. And this is finished object number 1. Can I say anything else about the pattern? The pattern was great, easy to follow. She gives stitch counts along the way, so you've got a really good guide as to where you're meant to be at each section, and the repeats are simple. And when I say repeats, I mean the raglan increases. So when you knit any kind of raglan sweater along the yoke, you get these. You have evenly spaced increases. Some designers will increase the fronts and backs and the sleeves at different rates. Sometimes they are knit at the same time or at the same rate of increase. It just gives a different effect. It gives a bit of a different fit. So that's something you can look for when you're looking at patterns or comparing them, and that's how the raglan increases, how the raglan increases are incorporated into the garment. Anyway, I am absolutely in love with this sweater. And today you'll notice that I'm not wearing any knitwear. That's because it's 27 degrees Celsius in Melbourne today. So the window to wear my fluffy sweaters may have passed, but we'll see. It might be a bit cooler tomorrow. Anyway, Cloudwatching Sweater. Love it. Love SosuKnits patterns. Yeah, give it a go. Check her out on Ravelry. If I was excited about the last sweater, I'm even more excited about this sweater for a number of reasons. First, it's actually coming out on the 18th of October, and if I get done what I need to get done, this episode will come out on the 18th of October, so surprise, you can now get this pattern on Ravelry. And it's by Kristen from Skein Yarns, and I had the opportunity to test this pattern. Now, Kristen's sample is knit in her ACM base, and I'm really curious to use or try this base because it's alpaca, cotton, and merino, and it looks really lofty but light at the same time. And the pattern calls for 2 strands of the ACM, so you can marl it and get a beautiful marled effect. Now, I've shown this a couple of times on Instagram, but only little snippets of it. Kristen wanted us to save the release until, or the reveal of the pattern rather, for release day, which is hopefully today as you're watching this, or is it already passed? It's the 18th of October. And here it is. It is called the Lucca Sweater. Let me just make sure I've got the front, because they're short rows. And it is, again, another amazing sweater. I love a turtleneck, and this turtleneck is so cozy. It's a double, I don't want to say double knit, but you knit up this, knit up to, actually you start here and then knit, and then you knit again, and then I knit and then you knit the collar down. So it's a double thickness of turtleneck. And again, it's, oops, sorry about that. It's a raglan construction, so you'll be able to see the raglan increases along here, along the sleeves into the armpit. So then you knit down to there, split for the sleeves, and then knit the body, and then the sleeves are knit in the round. The other reason why I am so excited about this sweater is that I was able to use stash yarn. And the stash yarn was really special to me because my mother gave it to me back in 2022. I'm pretty sure it was 2022. I had to return to the United States on very short notice due to a death in my family. And I stayed for almost near on a month. I think about three weeks and a bit. And it had been unplanned, so my siblings were all quite busy and tied up and weren't that available to spend some time with me. So I got a bit upset and started crying in front of my mother. I know, this is very vulnerable. Sorry. Maybe it's too much information, but anyway. I started crying, and my mother came into my room and said, "Here, don't be sad, have this." And she handed me an entire bag of yarn. So there were probably 8 to 10 balls of this orangey red yarn, kind of like a brick red. And I always wanted to use it. I didn't really love the color. It's a bit of a warmer red than I would normally wear. And I took this ball of yarn around with me to yarn market after yarn market, looking for something to hold it with until I found the other perfect yarn. So the red yarn is a mystery yarn. It's got some language which I on the label, which I think is Romanian. I'm pretty sure it was an 8-ply. And I'm guessing by the feel and the twist that it was like a standard kind of superwash merino. Let's got the leftovers just here. This was all I had left over. I think it will make a fantastic waddle for my emotional support chicken that I'm planning, but that'll be another episode. And so this, it is a bit warmer toned red than I would normally wear, but I found this fluff, which is hand dyed by Maximu. So this is Max's alpaca silk blend in the colorway Acid Runoff, and it was just absolutely a perfect match. And you can see that the marl that this makes is incredible. I love it. It was a bit small on the gauge for the test, but it's blocked out really well and the fit is fabulous. It's I love it. I'm just holding it up. It would be way too warm for me to put on. I would literally combust. You can see I'm already pink because it's so warm out. But yeah, look at that marl. So this pattern is just out today. Kristen, the pattern I found very easy to follow. It's not a huge number of instructions, so it's, I think, a great beginner sweater, especially if you want to try that folded neckband. That's probably the most challenging part of most complicated part of the pattern. Everything else is very beginner friendly. Knits, some ribbing, some pearls at the cuffs and the hem, but otherwise it's straight knits. So beginners out there, this is a beautiful pattern to try. For the more intermediate knitters, you could try this pattern on a different gauge, so calculating from your swatch how big you need and going on adjusting the size depending on how or what weight yarn that you've got. That's a really fun thing to do sometimes with patterns that are more of a basic, because it's less of a risk to try that out. Anyway, check that out, and I'm going to ask that you go onto Kristen's Ravelry page and at least give the pattern a heart on Ravelry so you can help the popularity of the pattern. I'm also going to ask you to do the same thing on the next pattern, because I think I'd love to count this as a finished object, but I've only finished one, and that is my Darwin Socks by Kath Martin Designs. So I'm well and truly on my way with the second one, but here's the first one, and look at how electric yellow these are coming out in this light. Let's see what happens if I hold it closer to the camera. It gets, oh, there we go. It gets a little bit more true to color. But there it is. This pattern was so fun to knit. Where should I even start? It's just come out. So again, please, to support Australian designers, have a look on Ravelry and give the Darwin Socks a heart. That will help the pattern gain some more popularity in the Ravelry algorithm. But this pattern, just like all of Kath's Australian capital city socks, has different options along the way. So the first part, or the first really fun option that I put in, is the eyelet in the middle of the hem. I'm just going to hold that closer to the camera so you can see it. Kath has an option where she's done that in a contrasting color, so that was really fun. And then the pattern has these eyelets alternating throughout the leg. I went with the stranded stitch heel, which you can't really see there. I'll hold it closer and we'll pop my hand in there so you can have a look. You can see it there. Stranded stitch heel. I think I did the French The French heel turn on this is an option for the Dutch heel turn as well. And then you pattern over the top of the foot. And then there's an option to do some slip stitches on the toe. And I like that option. It will draw in the toe a little bit, but I've got pretty narrow feet. So, love it. This yarn I picked because I thought it was very Darwin themed. It's very quite like tropical sunset vibes to me. And the yarn that I'm using is actually sponsored for me. I got it for as a gift from Great Southern Yarn, and I'm really grateful for it. It's beautiful and it's really fun to, it's nice to work with. It's a bit thicker than your regular 4-ply. The colorway is Calypo. It's their, it's 80% of the SRS merino. So that's the merinos that don't need, or that are not mulesed. It's 20% nylon. It's 4-ply. It is 340 meters roughly per 100 grams. And it's very, very soft. I have not blocked my sock yet. So I can't tell you how it will act when it's blocked, but I think that nylon will hold it together. I think it will be quite durable. It's very soft. And what else can I say? Kath's patterns are really versatile. You will see many variations with the longer leg like I've made, with a short leg, so some shorty socks, so they're just enough to come up over your little sneaker. Fun and quick to knit with the pattern. And this is something that I've found with a lot of Kath's patterns, is that I can memorize it. So I work on these when I'm on public transport quite a bit. It's a great portable project. And yeah, I'm loving socks at the moment. And this pattern, fresh out, give it a go. It's great for warmer weather socks. And yeah, Darwin Socks by Kath Martin Designs. I am getting through this episode pretty quickly, so I thought I might just add one whip that I am super excited about, and that is my Salty Days sweater by Veronika. That's Veronika Lindberg, who designs under the name of Veronika, and you'll find her by that name in Ravelry. And just while I'm thinking about it, I will have links to all of the patterns and yarn suppliers in the description box below. So you can click more and then click more again, and you'll have all of the links that you need to navigate around if you want to research or find something that I've discussed today. Now, my Salty Days sweater, I'm absolutely in love with it. The pattern is so fun. You start, it's a drop shoulder design that starts on the back of the neck. So you create what is effectively a gauge swatch. So if you know how your yarn is going to behave when it's blocked, you can just use that bit as your gauge swatch, so you know you're on track with the sizing. And like I said, though, that's if you know how the yarn will react once it's blocked, if you're going to wet block it. So here we go. Where's the front? There's the back. There's the front. And here it is. Isn't it beautiful? Look at that texture. So you start with in the back here and work this part, and then you work the fronts, the shoulder detail here, and then come down the front where you join the left and the right front, and then you join it in the round. And then all of these patterns are worked in the round. They are worked from charts, so you'll need to be familiar with knitting from charts. But it has been so fun because each section is only a few rows. So you'll hear people talk about a potato chip knit, one you just can't, it's very Moorish, you just want to keep eating the potato chips. You just want to keep knitting one more row because you're almost done. And then you feel a real sense of accomplishment when you finish each section, and that's very motivating to get you or to keep going or to get to the next section. This knit is also super fun because my friend Allie over at Fiberbound is also knitting it, so it's fun to see her progress as well as knitting it on my own. And there's a Cal right now that's being run by Haley's Space and Morgan Unraveled over on Instagram. So if you want to knit your salty days, give them a buzz, maybe a DM over on Instagram to join the group. There's a really big supportive Cal group for the Salty Days sweater, and it's been really fun to knit in community with people and watch everyone else's progress. Now my yarn, I'm loving it. I've got to get the color names here. And here I've got this yarn being held with this yarn. Now, as I talked before, you can substitute really any yarn weight for any pattern if you are wanting, if you can get a gauge swatch and then do math. I've gone a bit rogue in this because I have an idea of how these yarns will react while they are blocked. I had an idea of the needle size that I needed to use to get the fabric that I wanted to get. And this pattern has an incredible amount of positive ease. So I knew that even if I had knit a smaller size in the recommended yarn at the recommended gauge with the recommended needle, it would have fit and been quite baggy. But what I have done is I've used a fingering weight superwash merino held with a mohair silk. My fingering weight yarn here is from HalfBaked HandDyed, and it's their Aussie sock yarn, which is 300 meters per 100 grams, and it's a superwash merino nylon blend. This is the colorway Pillow Talk. I love it. It's just this beautiful purple, lavender, and the depth of the color is coming from the mohair. Now, the mohair is Prosper Yarn mint base, and this is the colorway Maude. So I've got Maude and Pillow Talk, which, I don't know, to me has like 1920s vibes. So I'm loving that combo. And it's knitting up beautifully. And I love how that's playing together. Again, it's getting a bit warm for this type of sweater, but I really want to finish it because it's so fun to knit. The textured stitches are just out of this world. Anyway, Salty Days, I'm loving it. Join the Cal if you want to. I think there's still time. I actually don't know the dates of it, but I think there is still time because there's some people in the group who are just starting their sweaters now. But, well, no buts. It's a great project and I'm really enjoying it. I'm knitting the size 3 in my yarn combo, and I think that's going to give me just enough positive ease. So I'm just making sure I don't lose any stitches. Just enough positive ease that I want, and because I didn't want a massively oversized sweater. I'm loving this. There we go. Should I hold it up closer? Salty Days. Look at that texture. Last thing I want to share with you today is an acquisition. And as I said at the beginning, this is the reason why I shouldn't be allowed on Instagram unsupervised. I was scrolling the other day and came across a post from Rainbows and Sprinkles, and she is currently working through a collection. I think it's called My Favorite Things. And I saw her Hello Kitty colors and just went, yep, there's just no way on this earth that I can't have that. So I ordered this yarn and it came today. It's blowing out because it's white, but maybe if I hold it closer, that doesn't make it any better. This yarn is called Hello Kitty Magic, and it's a beautiful cream with pink, mainly pink speckles, as well as a few black speckles thrown in for good measure and interest. And it is in her Luscious Sock Base, which is 4-ply, 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon, 400 meters. So I have enough, definitely have enough for a sweater, and I haven't, sorry about the dog, that's my neighbor's dog. And I realized on my last video, my neighbor's dog kept barking throughout the whole thing. So sorry about the dogs, this is what inner city living is about. Anyway, back to the yarn, 4-ply. I have 4 times 3, 1200 meters. So I've got plenty to make a sweater. I could even hold it with some fluff if I was so inclined. I've been having a fluff moment, clearly, with the last 3 projects. So if you have any ideas for what this, it's a pretty, I wouldn't call it heavily speckled, but there's sections of heavy speckling. What I might use that for, let me know in the comments, will you? Because I'd love to be inspired by your pattern choices. And no matter who I talk to, I'm always finding new designers that are new to me. They might be completely established and have an amazing back catalog of sweaters, shawls, whatever, but I'm not aware of them. So I love to learn about new designers, new patterns. And if you have any good 4-ply sweater patterns, definitely let me know in the comments. The other things that I could not resist from the My Favorite Things collection were these stitch markers. Oh my god, I hope they come out. Yeah, there they are. Oh my god, they're so cute. My little Hello Kitties. So I got a few of those. And then Megan also had, I haven't taken them out of the packet yet. I'll do that now. I'd love to actually put them on my Salty Days sweater before I lose my stitches. But how cute are these stitch markers? My little Hello Kitty stitch marker, not stitch markers, needle toppers. Ah! They're so cute. And then the last thing in my order were these stitch markers, which I think are super fun. And the other really cool thing about these kitty stitch markers is that they're a wider circumference. So if you are knitting something on bigger needles, where, you know, a little stitch marker like that might not fit, these come in super handy, super handy. So thank you so much, Megan, and also thank you for this little stitch marker came with my order too. So pretty. This little, oh, can you see it there? Maybe there. A little daisy. Anyway, that was beautiful, and some nice tea. You know, I love a good cup of tea. I'm having water today because it's so hot. And I've been talking a lot at work today. Anyway, that is really all I wanted to share with you. I love having some finished objects to share, and I've made some great progress on my knitting in the last few weeks, and I just wanted to talk to you about it and let you know and share my progress. I think it's really fun. I love seeing everyone's projects on Instagram. I spend way too much time there, clearly, and I've ended up with this beautiful yarn. So I'll come back with my next episode, I will have an interview for you, and I hope that you're enjoying the interviews. That's another thing. I'd love to have comments about who you would like to see next in an interview. And let's see, anything else? Oh, some admin. If you've liked this episode, please give it a thumbs up. If you want more content, such as the interviews that I do, or more finished objects and whips, then subscribe. It doesn't, like giving a heart on Ravelry, it doesn't cost anything, and it's just a way to support the podcast if you're inclined to do so. And I think that's it. Until next time, happy knitting!